Please be advised, viewer discretion is strongly recommended. None of the content presented here has been exaggerated or taken out of context. What you're about to hear includes the exact statements from the defense's closing arguments in the federal trial against Sean Diddy Combs. In today's video, you'll hear the defense team's final attempt to persuade the jury, highlighting key evidence, testimonies, and critical moments from the trial. Some language has been censored to comply with YouTube's guidelines. This is a voiced-over reading of real courtroom dialogue based on live reporting from courtroom journalist Inner City Press on X.com. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Listen at your own discretion. After the prosecution made their final push yesterday, today was the defense's turn. Sean Diddy Combs' legal team stepping forward to deliver their closing arguments, aiming to dismantle the charges and persuade the jury to find him not guilty. Here's exactly what went down.
There is a trial set forth by the text messages. Then there is the trial out of the prosecutors' mouths. They are different. The trial from the evidence. What is it? It is personal use drugs. That's all it is. That and swingers, a lifestyle. But the prosecutors have charged one of the most serious statutes on the books. They called crimes and drugs as RICO.
RICO stands for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act.
I want to thank you for your service to our country. I would love to speak to you for days. But it's Friday. I am trying to be efficient. I have to cover a lot of ground. But I'll focus on the most important part. Sean Combs. Sean Combs is a self-made black entrepreneur. He has built real businesses that are so outstanding that others create partnerships with them. We heard that from Derek Ferguson. It is hard to be Sean Combs. How many witnesses said they were moved? The assistants were moved by Sean Combs. It was like Harvard Business School. He pushed me hard. Did they always like him? No way. Let's not even go there. Did they like him? Number. But they loved him, even the ones who were suing him. Mia? I'm not going to call her Mia because that's not her name. I'm going to call her the witness who testified as Mia. Remember Derek Ferguson, from the Bronx? He said there were not many hiring people like me, from the Bronx. There's something more to these businesses. Sometimes the real things in life are hard. No one remembers the easy days. These people grew. It was real. It was diversity. These days, DEI. Combs was doing it at 24. The prosecutors call his businesses racketeering. That's the fake trial. What happens? He gets arrested. They destroy his property. They have a SRT, Special Response Team. They are clandestine, can't follow with a camera. Rampant, they ran. His kids were there, and here, 6 of 7 in the second row. The 7th is an infant. This is who he is. The man takes care of people. Jane came here and testified against him. Today she's in a house he's paying for. And they found it. Boxes of Astroglide, taken off the streets. And they got the baby oil, and the personal use drugs. America is safer. 5 Valium pills. When you're doing work like that, we can't photograph you. That's the evidence. What do? They wrap yellow crime scene tape, figuratively, around his bedroom, around the hotel rooms he goes to with his girlfriends. That's a lot of crime scene tape. The crime scene is your private sex life. No one called 911. They called civil plaintiffs' lawyers. This case is about money. Cassie Ventura sues Sean Combs for $30 million because he has $30 million. If he doesn't have it, no civil lawsuit and no criminal case. This case is about 5 minutes. It's about love. Love has been said more than 800 times in this trial. The domestic violence, we own it. We did not ask Ms. Ventura about being hit, kicked, or dragged. We did not cross Jane about it either, but domestic violence is not charged. If he was charged with that, he would have pled guilty. He did that. But he did not do racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. He did not kidnap or bribe anyone. The first person to say this was about domestic violence was Cassie Ventura. She made an Instagram post. She said, "Thank you for your love and support. The domestic violence is the issue." She could have said anything, on her phone or tablet. She could have said, this was about sex trafficking. She didn't say that. She said it was about domestic violence. Believe her. Believe Cassie when she says domestic violence is the issue. In that moment, watching that video, imagine that. To see their relationship is to see everything that racketeers is not. I am not going to go through a lot of text messages or charts or screen time. It's a terrible thing, screen time, I'm told. I'm going to tell you the story of this case. They fell in love. Cassie had a boyfriend of 3 years, 10 years older than her, but she meets Combs and they are off the races. Mr. Combs rents a boat and they make love for the first time. They are in an intense relationship, 11 years. Cassie is smart, she flat won, she's got $30 million, and he's in jail. You probably know that. The nice-looking men behind him, they are U.S. Marshals. They keep him safe. Cassie is won 100-0. They tell you she's a victim. This is a great modern love story. They didn't write these in the past because they didn't have these problems. He had 6 kids at the time. It's a relationship based on love. Cassie said she was young and insanely jealous. If you're in the jury room and you don't want to go home, read their text messages at the time of the breakup. You will cry. They were selfless with each other when it wasn't going to work for the original sin of their relationship. That Gina wouldn't come here, but she's out there. Then Kim Porter passed away, and Mr. Combs said what he did. For Cassie it was the last straw. She made an adult choice and left, like she always could leave. What happened? Nothing. Pick a message from 2018 and read it. These two people loved each other. If racketeering conspiracy had an opposite, it would be their relationship. They were their best selves when it came to set. There were times that Sean Combs was proud. On set, they found each other. It's a beautiful thing. You won't find a single text where she says, "I didn't like that set." It was an 11-year relationship. The issues were jealousy and other women, but they match up when it comes to set. Swingers. She's a woman who loves set, and it's beautiful. She is unafraid. Let's talk about Kid Cudi. He came in here. I'm not meaning to be judgy. Cudi comes here and says, "Cassie played me." She did. She played them both. Not everyone can do that. She goes for it. She liked Sean Combs as she had a relationship with another singer, songwriter under his nose. She's not afraid of him. Was she gonna tell either? Number Cassie is keeping it gangster. She's like, "I'm gonna lie to both." Cassie gets a burner phone. Finally, that's what you expect in a racketeering case. She's the one who got the burner phone. The morning of December 22nd, 2021, the whole thing with Cudi and all that. She had 2 hotel rooms. Whoa, a room for the burner. She was not going to tell nobody nothing. Let's talk racketeering. The judge is going to give a legal charge later today, assuming. The first one is the 2004 kidnapping of Capricorn Clark. Let's talk about her. She said, "I wanted my life back." Capricorn Clark's parents passed away when she was young. I don't mean any disrespect. She told you. I'm happy she did. Others didn't tell you about their parents. She moves to the Bronx and meets Sean Combs. She goes, "Super platonic." What? I think she means she didn't want it to be platonic. She's out there, you could see it. She says, "You know, I had the biggest crush on you. I think we misused our dope chemistry." If she's kidnapped, why does she want to go back and work for him? She's getting her nails down with Mike B. He'd going to be mad at me. She says she called 1440 and said lock everyone in. She got the lie detector, and Mike B did too. How was she kidnapped if she went home every day? Is the government alleging 5 separate kidnappings? Paulie drove her home. Door-to-door kidnapping. The SDNY is charging this as kidnapping. It's not a kidnapping. You guys come here day after day, long days, and you come back the next. Have you been kidnapped? Number? At the time, Sean Combs is in Raisin in the Sun. He is running vote or die. He couldn't care less about this. The lie detector was former FBI. You guys have the right to say, "Huh, that sounds like a stretch." Why charge it as a kidnapping? Come to whatever answer you think is the right answer. Capricorn leaves for a year. She makes more money. She comes back. Next, Sean and Cassie are having a freak off. It's December 22nd, 2011. Cassie has 2 hotel rooms. Combs look at her non-burner phones. Sees message with CC about Cudi, maybe called Scott in the text. Something about hiking. Why would he have a gun? He goes to get Capricorn. Why? She would do anything with him. Go to the moon. He didn't need a gun. He didn't have a gun. Cudi said Cassie told Cudi that Cassie already told Combs. Are you following me? Sean Combs has nothing to gain by having a gun and everything to lose. He is already Sean Combs. Capricorn would love have stayed employed if he pulled a gun on her. No way. Didn't happen. No gun. Cudi didn't say that. Capricorn said Combs had a gun because there was no gun. Working backward, Cuddy didn't tell the police about a gun. It was written up as a trespass, that's all. There's no gun. Capricorn's story falls apart. There was the car chase. Or was there? Cuddy pulled up next to the Escalade. The witness said, there was no car chase. The judge is going to say you can disregard any witness if you find something not credible. If you see fit, it's all you need. Seems like everything is possible with Capricorn Clark. I asked her, she said, I came up here with Puff. I want to run away. I'm afraid of mountain lions. Mountain lions. I'm not saying they are not scary, but if you were kidnapped with a gun. Number, she doesn't want to say. I went there by my own volition. I'm not saying Sean Combs didn't go there. He wanted to fight him. Fine. Mother, Combs is not a coward. He's ready to fight. At the risk of being sexist, they are men. They fight. We're gonna have a good old-fashioned 8 in the morning, Hollywood Hills John Wayne fight. The Porsche. Not his style. There is no evidence. Who else would do it? Not evidence. Burning a car is cowardice. Be a man and fight him. What's in the car? Molotov cocktail. Why not show you the glove? I am suggesting something. Yes. That the investigation stunk. It's terrible. 2 fingerprints. What happened? Well, I don't know. You are going to determine his fate on arson. On this? The DNA was consistent with a female contributor. That witness was not helpful. If it had come back consistent with Combs, they would have bragged about it. Investigator Jimenez never followed up. He tried to find Cassie. Jimenez said Capricorn's brother obstructed him. They fought. I'm not saying Capricorn did it, or Cassie did it. We're not here to solve the world's problems. Cassie's father didn't call him back. The witness was mad. Draw your own conclusions. Here's an email. Why is she calling him Sean Puffy Combs? For some later proof. She doesn't mention any car. Forget it. Let's turn to the London hotel. If you want to go to someone's house, it's not a kidnapping. It's unfair. Cassie is public too. Remember, Cassie also didn't want the tape out. She had a movie coming out. Let's go back to what was said about the hotel staff maybe leaking the footage. They were worried about publicity, not a misdemeanor. Guess what happened? It was sold. The police were nowhere near this situation. Is Combs acting like a fool, calling Cassie and saying the police are about to arrest him? She is freezing him out, as she should. He's just trying to get her attention. He leaves, goes to her apartment. He's banging on her door, maybe with a hammer. Carrie Morgan said, that's why the police came. A neighbor called. The Intercontinental has no police period, so he cannot be guilty of bribery under California law, as the judge will tell you. And when Mia, the witness who testified as Mia, said she was out of Skrilla money, they should have told you that. Sean was concerned about Cassie suing him. He was not aware of any federal investigation, if there was one. So it's not obstruction. He's trying to stave off a lawsuit, and when it comes to Jane, he still might.
At this point, they take a short break, and then the prosecution says,
I did not want to object, but he asked the jury to ask why the prosecutors charged as they did. We need a curative instruction after the break. He told the jury that the Intercontinental was a misdemeanor, curative instruction. He told the jury Mr. Combs is charged with arson. That is not the case. It is a RICO predicate.
And the defense responded with,
I was going to get to RICO. On the rest, it's fair comment.
And the judge asks,
You said, why charge a kidnapping? You can ask that.
I think I'm allowed to be sarcastic. That's what I was doing there.
And the Intercontinental video?
It's a state matter, not federal. It's fair comment.
Can the government propose?
Yes, after the break.
do you have proposed language?
Yes, Ms. Steiner has emailed the defense our proposed curative instructions.
Mr. Agnifilo, those 3 were grossly improper. Just to be blunt about it, the jury is not to speculate about the charge. I will tell them it would be improper for you to consider that. You are to disregard those comments.
We did not object yesterday, since you called out Mr. Agnifilo.
I didn't call out anything. There was an objection.
Mrs. Slavic told the jury there might have been guns at freak-offs. There's no evidence of that. It was outrageous. No one is doing anything improper.
You made no record yesterday. Here, I'm not giving the multiple instructions, just one.
We ask you do that at the end. Not now. It will suggest Mr. Agnifilo did something improper.
It is needed now.
Let's get our jury. At this point, it is noted that Sean Combs leans over and whispers to Agnifilo, who takes a note. The jurors re-enter. Before the break, it was suggested you should consider why this was charged, that it not proper. I will be instructing you on the law, Mr. Agnafilo.
Now we'll talk about Mia. She loved working for Mr. Combs. This was not forced labor. Remember the birthday video we showed up? She was bubbly, popping. That's the real her. You are free to conclude she put on an act here. If Mr. Combs felt it was improper, he would not threaten to tell Cassie. It was consensual. When Mia says it was not consensual, she is not telling the truth. There was no unwanted sexual conduct. Mia's feelings were not platonic. Mr. Steele questioned her about these wonderful pictures and slogans. Effusive, not just a job. This is a demonstrative. You can't take it into the jury room. Consider the scrapbook she made. I'm going to read it to you. Happy 45th birthday. Puff, this is from 1991 to 1999. I hope it stirs up nostalgic feelings. How great you've become. She loved you. You can't fake that. That's real. Don't leave sight of that. It's not just business. He gives people a home. Look at this picture. Think of a word that comes to mind. Joy. There's KK, D-Rock, Fahim. He created a remarkably special place. He moved people in their hearts and souls. When Mia is told she'd being fired, that she is going to leave the special place. Mia, my life is over. KK. OMG, WTF. Mia, that's not funny. Racketeering co-conspirator KK writes, Mia, answer your phone or I'm going to call your parents. That last thing she wanted to do was leave. And it's forced labor. Let's turn to drug distribution. The U.S. said, personal use is a distraction. Brendan Paul said these were personal use drugs. He said he forgot to take the coke out of my bag. He said, I got the best lawyer in the world and my charges were dismissed. That's what he said. Sean Combs was not selling drugs. Cassie said he was a drug addict. How was he supposed to get them? Grow his own Xanax. Did he have drugs? Yes, they found it in his house. Was he using his enterprise to distribute drugs? Number. You're gonna have to think through this. It's time for the prosecution's final word. The rebuttal begins now.
He brought up conduct that hasn't been charged and said Mr. Combs was being targeted. We request curative instructions.
Then the judge turns to Combs' lawyer and tells him,
You should have phrased it differently, but you went on to focus on lack of a conspiracy and asks him, what about the targeting charge? How is that not improper?
No one went to law enforcement and complained. It's fair comment. He said what he said. Targeted. It's improper. A curative instruction is required. They made the argument pre-trial, and they lost. This was inappropriate.
Before the jury returned, the judge said he would add a reminder to the jury instructions that they must focus only on whether the government proved each charge beyond a reasonable doubt. Despite the defense asking to delay it until Monday, the judge decided to deliver the instruction immediately. When the jury returned, he told them directly that any claims about Mr. Combs being targeted were not for them to consider. Then, the prosecution resumed.
The defendant did not take no for an answer, certainly not from his girlfriends. He beat them. They suggest he didn't pay for sex, that there was no enterprise, and that the witnesses lied. But he flew worker across the country to have sex with Cassie and Jane while he met. It was not for their conversation. It was for sex. Remember Daniel Phillip? He said he got paid for sex. When he had performance issue, he stopped getting paid. The Punisher, $500 when no sex, thousands when sex. I suspect you'll hear that uncalled witnesses were equally available to both sides. Maybe some of these men would have worked for free, having sex in front of the masked celebrity. But they got paid. The defendant is guilty of counts 3 and 5. An enterprise can have unlawful and lawful purposes. KK, uncalled witnesses are equally available to both sides. Did they agree to at least 2? Yes. Quick hits. The kidnapping is corroborated by Kid Cudi. He said she was forced to go along with them. Mr. Agnafilo said Mr. Combs is a fists guy. Sure. When it is his girlfriends. With men, he needs guns. The London hotel? He made Cassie go after he stomped on her face. She wasn't allowed to go home to her mom. That is a kidnapping. The arson? Somehow the glove fell of someone's childlike hand. He said he would do it, and he did. Cassie said it. Eddie Garcia. He believed he could not go to the police under the agreement. And Combs said, "Watch out how you spend it. Bribery. This is guy that can't get his own water bottle or plug in his own phone charger. He's the general. He delegates." KK knows the Wild King Knights involved escorts. The only reason he needs thousands of dollars in hotel rooms is to pay escorts. KK reads all of Combs's texts, so she knew. KK alone made Combs guilty of count 1. Drugs. Mr. Agnifilo talked about conspiracy to distribute. But giving drugs to Cassie and Jane is distribution. That is enough. Mr. Agnifilo claims they wanted it. The defense's theory is that Cassie wanted to be urinated on. That Jane wanted to have sex with Anton after being beaten. And Mia wanted to be petted. That Cassie and Jane wanted to spend days in oil with UTIs and high heels, strange men. Mia said no. Cassie said no on her 29th birthday. Jane said no before Anton after being beaten. These women, stage whisper, had no reason to lie. The defense say it's for money. But Cassie already got paid. If Cassie were lying and already got paid, why would she take the chance of perjury in a federal trial? This is a woman standing up for what is right. Mia already settled in mediation. There's no reason for her to put on a show for you. Jane doesn't intend to sue. These women refuse to let trauma swallow up their whole lives. That struggle tells you these women told the truth. They broke free of the defendant's manipulation. Jealousy is not a defense to trafficking. Jane picking out Cabral and Anton was her way of taking back some control. Yes, she texted escorts. Sometimes he told her. Sometimes she knew he would ask. She felt she had no choice. That's coercion. The defendant did hit Cassie during freakouts. Cassie said it. Daniel Phillip told you. And it's on video. The defendant was in a towel. The freakout was not over. There's no separating the violence and the stunts. Remember when Cassie OD'd in a hotel room in Long Island and they still had the freak off? When Jane performed oral sex on Anton after Combs beat her? That was trafficking. Mr. Agnifilo said Cassie won a prize. What prize? Sex with a UTI? Getting urinated in her mouth? It's ridiculous. They had a trauma bond. They were trapped. The cost of trapping them was a drop in the bucket for Mr. Number 1 on the Forbes list. He pushed her to continue after she vomited. He knew she didn't want to. The Intercontinental, they claim he was intoxicated, that it was about a phone. He knew what he was doing. He kicks her. She calls security, so he stays, to keep control of her. I want to be clear. They called Anton because he was the only repeat player in LA. They stopped with Cabral after he tried to extort Jane. Whatever words he used about a conspiracy between Jane and Anton, there is no evidence for it. He coerced Cassie and Jane into this. And nothing happened. Mia. And nothing happened. He beat Cassie, and nothing happened. He beat Cassie in hotel on tape, then bribed the guards to buy it. And nothing happened. He was untouchable. He did not think these women would speak, and that Kid Cudi and Deontay Nash and other men would back them up. The defendant is not a god. He stands equal before the law. Find him guilty.
And that was it for court today. The judge dismissed the jury until Monday, when they'll return to begin deliberations. The courtroom will also be preparing the exhibit list and laptop the jury will use to review evidence. With closing arguments now complete, we're officially entering the final phase of the Diddy trial, and the verdict could come at any time once deliberations begin. If you want to stay up to date on the final developments, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next update. Please be advised, viewer discretion is strongly recommended. None of the content presented in this video has been exaggerated or taken out of context. What you're about to hear is a narrated breakdown of today's courtroom proceedings in the federal trial of Sean Diddy Combs, including the judge's final instructions to the jury, the official start of deliberations, and behind-the-scenes moments that unfolded while the jury was out of the room. This video is based on real-time reporting from courtroom journalist Inner City Press on X.com. Some language has been censored to comply with YouTube's community guidelines. All parties are presumed innocent until proven guilty. Watch and listen at your own discretion. In case there is anything, we'll bring the jury in for the charge.
The laptop is ready. There are a few things we'll finalize during the charge.
Just email it to Chambers. All rise. At this point, the jurors enter the courtroom.
I'll read you the charge. It's long, but I'll try to make it interesting. You have now heard all of the evidence in this case, as well as the final arguments of the parties. I will instruct you on the law, as I give it to you. The evidence is the testimony, the answers, and the exhibits. Arguments are not evidence. You are the sole and exclusive arbiters of the facts. What is a reasonable doubt? It's based on your common sense, after carefully weighing all the evidence. You just weight each witness's credibility, the truth and importance of their testimony, size him or her up. You must decide. Sean Combs has been formally charged in an indictment. An indictment is not evidence. Count 1 charges from 2004 to 2024, a racketeering enterprise. Count 2 from 2009 to 2018, sex trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Count 3 from 2009 to 2018, transporting individuals including but not limited to Ventura for purposes of prosecution. Count 4 from 2019 to 2024, sex trafficking of Jane. Count 5 from 2019 to 2024, transporting individuals including but not limited to Jane for purposes of prosecution. Each court is separate. For attempt, the U.S. must show intent and a substantial step taken. Mere intention does not amount to an attempt. Aiding and abetting means knowingly doing some act to aid or encourage a crime to be committed. For RICO, the U.S. must prove that from 2004 to 2024, there was an agreement between two or individuals for a racketeer enterprise that impacted interstate commerce, that the defendant joined and committed at least 2 predicate acts. The U.S. must prove a mutual understanding to cooperate. You may infer its existence from the circumstances of this case. Actions may speak louder than words. You may consider the acts of all of those you find to be participants. If you find that the Combs enterprise existed, you must find whether it continued in a substantially similar form from 2004 to 2024. The people can change. As to the defendant being a member, he had to know of the existence of the enterprise. The U.S. alleges 8 predicted: kidnapping, arson, bribery, witness tampering, forced labor, sex trafficking, transportation for prostitution, intent to distribute narcotics. The U.S. has to prove 2 offenses within 10 years. Kidnapping does not occur if the victim consented. Consent may be withdrawn. Arson under California law means the conspirator set fire or caused the fire, willfully or maliciously. Bribery of a witness under California law requires that a conspirator gave or promised to give a bribe to a person giving or about to give information to law enforcement to unlawfully influence it. For witness tampering, I violation, 18 Sex 1512 B3. It does not matter if the subject of the threat is in fact fearful. Only a threat is required, but it must be knowing. For forced labor, 18 Section 1589. Requires use of force or use of force of physical restraint. A person may withdraw consent, and it may become forced labor. Sex trafficking will have the same definition as in counts 2 and 4, and transportation to engage in prostitution, the same as count 3 and 5. Next is distribution of narcotics, including this long word that you see here, knowingly and intentionally. Distribution means actual transfer, to deliver to another person. For possession, physical custody is not needed. Control is enough. RICO has a 5-year statute of limitation. You must find that it continued past 2019. If you find that the government had not proved this beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. On sex trafficking, counts 2 and 4, transport means to take or convey from one place to another. Reckless disregard satisfies the statute. The deliberate closing of eyes. You must be unanimous on at least one specific instance of sex trafficking. On counts 3 and 5, knowingly transporting or arranging for the transportation an individual for purposes of an act of prostitution, buying or arranging a ticket is enough. Prostitution does not need to be the main purpose. Prostitution is engaging sexual activity for money or its equivalent. You must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation with intent to engage in prostitution. On venue, The U.S. must prove at least one act occurred in SDNY, 8 counties. We are in the home stretch. In weighing expert testimony, you should not accept it just because I allowed it. The testimony of government officials are not worth of more or less weight than any other witness. Witnesses given immunity should be examined with greater can than ordinary witnesses. Charts and summaries, demonstrative aids, are not evidence and will not be available to you in the jury room. Certain witnesses were permitted to be identified by pseudonyms. That should bear on your evaluation of credibility. The defendant had no responsibility to testify, and he did not. You must not attach any significance to that. Voluntary intoxication may negate the intent requirement of RICO predicates. Uncalled witness, you have heard names of people not called as witnesses. Each side had an equal opportunity to call them. Do not speculate or consider this. Any notes you took are only for you. No outside reading. You are to consider only what was presented within the 4 walls of this courtroom. You may not communicate about this case, including on X, Instagram, or YouTube. If you see this, tell my deputy. Do not be swayed by bias, including implicit bias. These hidden thoughts can impact what we hear and see and how we remember it. You will now retire to consider the case. Each of you must decide the case for himself or herself after deliberating. Your verdict must be unanimous. If you are divided, do not report the specifics. Your foreperson will send out any notes and any verdict. Any communication with the court should be in writing. The alternates do not have to be here, but give your phone number to my deputy. You may be called to replace a juror. You will be called when a verdict is reached. The alternates are 234, 247, 292, 321, and 330, those in the top row. Do not read any news report to this trial, if there were to be any. Please accept my heartfelt gratitude for your service over the past 2 months, or even more. My deputy will provide my personal contact info. I could give you a tour of the courthouse.
At this point, the alternate jurors leave.
Here is the verdict sheet. Only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, answer as to each predicate, not proved or proved. And did sex trafficking involve sex trafficking of Cassie or Jane? Count 2, 3, 4, 5, not guilty or guilty. From now on, your schedule is your own. You will be provided with meals. Now, the marshal will swear you in. Now the jurors can head back into the jury room. All rise.
At this point, the jurors leave.
We object to including the subject lines of BlackBerry messages like, "I am so horny."
It is common for exhibits to include subject lines. BlackBerry message are more akin to emails than to text messages.
Let's have only neutral lists go to the jury. I'll trust the parties to provide an appropriate laptop to the jurors. I'm going to stick around for a bit, but we'll just stay here as long as they wish to deliberate. At the end of the day, we'll bring them in. I appreciated the collegiality on both sides in this case. Anything before we adjourn?
Number, can we go to another floor of the courthouse?
Just give us your cell phone number.
At this point, the courtroom was adjourned. At 11:48 a.m., the jury sends a note to the courtroom.
We have received a note from the jury. They have elected juror number 5 as the foreperson. It is signed by juror number 5, and there is agreement on the laptop. It will be taken into them. Now, we'll have a longer break.
During this court adjournment, at least for now, Sean Combs is still in the courtroom. Family members are standing in the second room. Combs goes back to speak with them, holding his hand behind his back, then back to table, staring at laptop. Now, between jury notes, Sean Combs has been taken back into the holding cell. And then, Sean Combs is back in the courtroom. His lawyers are huddled behind him in discussion. There has been a jury note. At 1:27 p.m.
We have received a note from the jury that we have a juror, Juror 25, who we believe cannot follow your instructions. I would like to meet with the court about it. I suggest I ask for more information.
May we have a moment to digest what Your Honor has proposed? This is very sensitive.
I suggest we just tell them, it is early, you are just getting started. If there is a further issue, please let us know.
If we go that route, we suggest instructing the jurors it is important not to include any information about what is going on in the jury room.
Confer on a response. I'll stay here. It's 1:48 p.m. See if you can come to an agreed-upon note. I'll come back at 2 p.m. and we'll figure this out.
At 2:02 p.m., they still did not agree on a response.
I would prefer to have a neutral response, like the government's draft response. That's the one I'll use. I'll put it on the court's letterhead.
There is no suggestion the juror will not follow instructions. So our proposal is more inert.
I don't want to suggest to the jury that there is any particular time they must deliberate. I don't want to tell them they just started. I'm going with the government version. We will print that out, Dad, send it in.
Sean Combs has been brought back into the courtroom by U.S. Marshals. His lawyers are gathered around looking at a piece of paper.
We have 2 letters, notes, from the jury. If an individual asks for a controlled substance and the person hands it over, it is distribution, and the 2D says they will end at 5 p.m. I suggest we respond by pointing to the jury charge.
We have a respond to the question, but if the jury wants to leave, let's do that first.
We have a response to.
Let's bring out our jury, and I'll discharge them for the day.
At this point, the jurors enter.
Per the jury's request, it's now 5 p.m., so we'll excuse you for the day. Your question, we'll answer you tomorrow morning. I am not going to bring you into the courtroom tomorrow morning. You just come in and start at
9. And that was it for today in court. The jury has officially begun deliberations, reviewing all the evidence, testimony, and legal instructions presented over the past several weeks. They'll return tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. to continue, and from this point on, the court will remain on standby, ready to respond to jury questions or announce a verdict whenever it's reached. Be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the moment the verdict comes down. And let us know in the comments, what do you think the jury will decide in the Diddy trial?